Timberwolves, but I just want to preface that team by saying that in my notes, I wrote down Anthony Edwards is too obvious, even if he's the right choice, going with, and then realized that I never came back to it. My pick would have been Jaden McDaniels, and I know that's going to be your pick. So I cede all of my talking to you in this section.
Jaden McDaniels is a fucking stud. I've been cussing too much on this podcast. I apologize.
I love that you didn't even need to react to that because we both knew that I was right.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go into a Jaden McDaniels spiel, and I was like, did he really just breakout candidate jack me like that when he knows how I feel about Jaden McDaniels?
No, it worked out so perfectly that I don't have anything prepared for this one, and I know that you do.
So where I diverge with the Timberwolves is they seem to think that he can't hold up defensively at the 4, which is why they've been obsessing over not just Ben Simmons, but they were linked to John Collins. They were linked to Lauri Markkanen, 2 guys who I would argue aren't going to be better than Jaden McDaniels at the 4 anyway. I think he can give you defense at the 2, 3, 4. I'm just more intrigued by his offense as someone who I think can finish through straight line drives, has already shown he'll hit threes at a moderate clip off the catch. What we saw from him in Summer League, too, I don't want to read too much into it. There's more ball skills there. He has directionality in traffic. They really treated him like a point wing throughout Summer League. You're not going to do that on the actual Timberwolves because you have Anthony Edwards, Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell, even Karl Anthony Towns. Although I would argue at this point, I'd probably rather put this is an exaggeration. But if Patrick Beverley is going to be your backup point guard, maybe just during those lineups, let's let Jaden McDaniels be the point forward. I don't trust Patrick Beverley with the ball in his hands on offense is basically what I'm saying. And he might be traded again at this point. Who knows? The fact that there are more layers to his offense, my main point is that's a pretty big friggin' deal because he's already shown that he can fill gaps, run the floor, slip through cracks in the defense in the half court, hit the set threes like I talked to. But if you can put the ball in his hands and count on him to do more than just attack in a straight line, you have an instantly really good player at one of the most desirable, sought-after positions in the league. Whether you view him as a 3 or a 4, I think he can just shuffle somewhere in between, especially now. I love the idea of lineups, though, as of now, just because I don't think they have a bunch of other options unless you think – I'm assuming they'll re-sign Jared Vanderbilt, who I would consider picking him if Jaden McDaniels wasn't on this team or if he had signed a contract yet at this recording. I want to see more Towns and Jaden McDaniels as the 5-4. You can round that out with – I'd probably rather see, for defensive purposes, Patrick Beverley on the court with Anthony Edwards and maybe Malik Beasley because then you have a nice mix of size. But give me 3 of Patrick Beverley, D'Lo, Malik Beasley, and Anthony Edwards with Karl Anthony Towns and Jaden McDaniels in the front court. And I think that lineup base, it's not going to make the Timberwolves a playoff team because you need to fill the minutes around them. That lineup base is so tantalizing. And I don't know if I've said it enough. I'm in love with Jaden McDaniels. And if they win the Ben Simmons sweepstakes without giving up D'Angelo Russell, because they're not giving up Edwards, which I would just agree with at this point. You play the upside game there. They have to give up Malik Beasley, but then it's sort of iffy. It's how many picks are you giving up? Who else is included? Is it D'Lo? I would argue the Sixers should probably want D'Lo. I don't think they will. I think if that deal gets done, and I don't think it does. Maybe it does. I think Jaden McDaniels ends up being a bigger ass reason why than people are crediting, because you can give Philadelphia all the picks in the world that they can use in other trades for the next star. Going long distance on a team in Minnesota that has not necessarily proven that it's the best, even with Gerson Rosas here. It's just he's taken some risks, but the team is still unspectacular right now, I'd argue. That's how high I am on Jaden McDaniels, is my point. Is I think he can be, and it might even be more valuable leading into the trade deadline. If you're looking at candidates to trade for to either get the next star or a really high-end 4, I don't know that I view him as a cornerstone type prospect. He is certainly someone who can be the second best asset in a deal of that magnitude.
I really, really wish that you had just left it off after the first time you said how much you love Jaden McDaniels, because then you mentioned Ben Simmons and the trade and ruined the entire joke that I was going to go for. Because I was going to just launch into this Ben Simmons monologue about how he was the next most likely chance candidate for Minnesota and just see how long I could get before you were like, what are you doing here? But then you had to go talking about the trade.
Ben Simmons as a breakout player is very insulting, but I'd be here to listen to it.
Yep. The moment's ruined, though. You
I,
just you murdered that moment.
I will if you want to give Timberwolves fans hopes. I can't remember on the last pod, our specific Ben Simmons segment, whether you said that you think it's Minnesota or bust for Ben Simmons at this point. Is that what you said, or was it
Yeah.
Sacramento? It was
No,
Minnesota.
I think it's either going to be he's in Minnesota at the start of the season or he's not dealt before the season starts.
I'd lean the latter, but Minnesota is the one that I think Jaden McDaniels helps right away. Malik Beasley helps right away. And if you're giving picks into the distance, because it's this team, and maybe it ends up failing, you do have to calculate the fact that, oh, this team all of a sudden has Karl-Anthony Towns and Ben Simmons, two potential top 15 players.
Who work really well together, I think.
I think that's basketball fit wise. That's the team I want to see Simmons on.
Yeah.
I almost don't even care who you give up. Just give me Simmons and Cat. I would be curious to see what the dynamic between Anthony Edwards and Simmons is. It'd be similar, I think, to what Jimmy Butler and Simmons were, and that didn't work out.
If Edwards continues on this offensive trajectory, though, I don't think it matters what Simmons does on offense.
I think what the difference is that, and this isn't an insult to Jimmy Butler, who is a better player than Ben Simmons. The fact that Anthony Edwards is not better than Ben Simmons right now probably helps, and just hasn't had the time to establish that type of offensive ego. And he seems, just based off his interviews, like, I know people were kind of insulting his commitment to basketball coming into the league. I feel like he'll just do what it takes to maximize what the team wants.
And that dude is also just fucking hilarious in interviews.
He is a better interview than him right now.
No one right now.
No,
absolutely no one. It's so great. And like, it's funny you say that he hasn't had a time to develop enough of an offensive ego. Yes, he has. Have you listened to him in interviews?
He thinks he's, but it's like it's a mocking ego.
It is.
He thinks he's
it 100% is. It was one of those things where you said it and I was like, that sounds a little weird to say about Anthony Edwards. Like, I get it and I agree with it, but it was an interesting choice of words.
I guess just the type of character that he is, and then just based off where he is at his career, it seems like there can be more of a give and take between he and Ben Simmons than a Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons. And look, also the maniacal where they seem to diverge too is Jimmy Butler is like, if you're not getting up at 2:30 in the morning to join me for a 3 a.m. workout, I fucking hate you. So, oh my God, I'm gonna have to put an explicit like parental advisory thing on this podcast.
I would say like it's gonna be demonetized on YouTube, except we don't have enough subscribers yet to monetize it. So everyone should go subscribe to the Hardwood Knocks YouTube channel.
Look, after watching my mouth and only cursing once with Davey in the vicinity of your son in Colorado while I was there a couple weeks ago, I'm just letting it all out. I'm catching up for lost time.
That's totally fine. Did you like my super organic plug?
Yes.
I don't think anyone is going to notice that we had an agenda there. Like it will just fly right under the radar.
Hopefully we just get a bunch of Timberwolves fans that subscribe to the YouTube channel because
that sounds great.
We love Anthony Edwards. We want the Timberwolves to trade Ben Simmons. We think Jaden McDaniels is a future top 5 player of all time.